Hi, I'm Rob. It's garage time. Oh, hi. Hey, everybody, welcome to the garage. It's your old pal, Rob. HEI distributors, two HEI distributors, two Jaguar ignition modules. What's possibly going on? Anyway, there's been a whole lot of motorcycle content on the channel for like the last 5 episodes. And you may be wondering, oh no, what about the Jag Special? That's why I signed up to this channel. What's going on with that? Is anything going on with that? And there is. This is a bit of foreshadowing. What has been going on is some preparatory work for actually getting the Jag Special running. And that's because I have a serious goal of making the Jag Special run enough that I can drive it up and down the street out there. Because that'll be a whole lot of fun. And when I was building the 3-wheeler, once I got to that stage, the build accelerated on a very steep curve, and that's what I want to have happen. So I'm going to show you some of the stuff I had to do in preparation for that. And there's kind of a lot of stuff that has to go on. The car won't be finished. It's not going to be anything but a bare chassis. But the goal is to make it run. It'll have the engine and transmission, it'll have the radiator, it'll have the oil cooler, and that should be enough to get it going. Oh, and the fuel tank will also be hooked up because, you know, kind of need that. But anyway, so the first thing that I had to do was enclose the drive shaft tunnel, the 2 sections in between the driver's seat and the passenger seat. And that went just about, as you would imagine, just like the floors and the firewalls and the seating area, where I took some of the remnant of the 90,000 6061 sheet, cut some pieces to shape, drilled some holes, glooped them up with RTV, and then just banged the rivets in. And it was pretty simple. That didn't take very long. The next thing I had to do was reroute that brake line that I had captured in between 2 frame tubes when I was building the structure for the transmission hump, or the transmission tunnel. There's that tube and that tube. Yeah, they look good. Alrighty then, let's... You ain't go, oops. Oops. I'm gonna have to disconnect that brake line, aren't I? What I realized I could do is reroute that rear brake pipe, bring it up high, run it down the top of the transmission tunnel, the top of the drive shaft tunnel, and then just have it swoop down into the T-fitting that's mounted to the differential frame. Of course, once I got that all done, I had to bleed the system. And using the traditional manual method of pump the brake pedal, let go the bleeder, close the bleeder, pump the brake pedal, it's a giant pain in the ass, especially doing it by yourself. Trust me, I'm an expert. That feels pretty good. Using my little Mighty Vac vacuum bleeder, you always have to finish the bleeding by manually bleeding it. So what I did was I used my pressure bleeder. I have finished rerouting the brake pipe that goes from the master cylinder back to the rear axle. That came out really good. I do have, in fact, a pressure bleeder. The only end that came with it was this thing, but it only fits Willwood master cylinders. I want to use it to bleed the brakes on the Jag Special right now, but I don't have an adapter. So I'm going to do one of the things that I love to do, and I'm going to make one. So of course, the first thing I did was do some measuring and make a sketch. And then I got a piece of 3/8 60/61 plate, cut out a piece that matches the measurements that are in my sketch. I've marked the plate with a center line, and this is where it's going to get drilled through for the adapter that goes into the cap. Do a counterbore here that will fit the Jaguar master cylinder fill cap port. Here I am holding in my hand one of my favorite pieces of recyclable material. This is a piece of motorcycle inner tube. This will make a perfect sealing gasket inside the counterbore. So let's get busy making that counterbore. And if you say counterbore 3 times, the correct size hole saw magically appears, which in this case happens to be 38 millimeter. Ordinarily, a milling machine would work best for cutting a counterbore that size, but I don't have one. What I do have is a drill press, the aforementioned 38 millimeter hole saw, and a variety of end mills. Step 1 is to cut the circumference of the counterbore using the 38 millimeter hole saw. The hole saw is wrapped with tape to a measured 1/4 inch depth. Cut to the depth of the tape. Swap out the hole saw for the end mill and clamp the vise to the table so that it doesn't move around. Begin milling out the material inside the circle. The end mill is also taped to mark the depth. Get that first hole milled out, then unclamp the vise, move it around the circle a bit, clamp the vise again, and then mill out that next bit of aluminum. Rinse and repeat around and through the circle until you wind up with this. Pretty sweet, right? And now the test fit with the motorcycle inner tube rubber seal. And it's perfect, of course. There it is. Now let's make the clamping strap. The clamp strap is made from a length of 1/8 inch thick, 1 inch wide aluminum strap. I just used the body of the master cylinder as a bending form. Easy peasy. Next thing is to mark the bend lines for the bolt flanges. And then the strap is brought over to the bench so I can hit it with a hammer, because that's always fun. Using the good old calibrated eye to check angularity. And then rinse and repeat for the other side. And then hit it with a hammer. That never gets old. Time to drill some holes. And now I turn an 8 millimeter socketed screw into a fluid nozzle. And as was predicted by the ancients, some assembly required. The clamp strap is attached with bolts scavenged from the donor XJ6. I'm green, man. So are the bolts, because that's what color the XJ6 was painted. And the finished product, snazzy. Attach the custom Jaguar master cylinder adapter to the pressure bleeder hose. Both hoses have brass 1/4 NPT hose ends. Fill the pressure tank about 1/2 full of fresh DOT4 brake fluid. clean the tank pump, screw it back on, and let's bleed some brakes. Okay, that's us. Not too tight, don't want to crush the tank. Don't want to. There we go, that's better. That looks good. Yep. 3 brake bleeds later, I dare you to say that quickly 3 times. Because this is like my 5th, no, 10th. Cool. After getting the brakes sorted out, I needed to figure out the battery mounting because, of course, this thing's going to need an electrical supply to run various things. What I came up with was this. This is a piece of 90,000 6061 T6 that I measured the distance, the bottom of the battery, and I bent up the side. And that locates the battery side to side. And to locate the battery front to back, I riveted in some 3/4 inch aluminum angle. I made some mounts out of 1.5 inch angle steel. I used a piece of 3/4 inch tubing as a spacer, how high I wanted the battery tray to sit. I put another piece back here in order to keep the battery tray from contacting the firewall. Once I had that height and that distance set, I tacked the bottom edge of the angle steel to the chassis tubing. And then I came up and I did segment welds. It doesn't need to be fully welded. That's plenty strong to hold the battery. I measured out where I wanted the holes to be, where I wanted the mounting holes to be. I piloted these holes, and then I clamped this in place. I match drilled them to the holes in the chassis, and then I countersunk the holes for flathead screws. Originally, these were all going to be 1032s, and what I thought I would do is do 1/4 inch, 1/4 28 screws at the corners, and then a couple of 1032s in the middle. I don't need to use all 12 holes, I realize. This thing is plenty beefy for the attachment to the mounting angles. This piece of angle is the battery hold down, and these are the battery hold down studs, which have they're 1/4 20. They've got a 1/4 20 nut on this side and a 1/4 20 nut on this side. Here's the hold down. You can see that I welded this nut onto this side to maintain the distance on this side so that I don't contact the chassis when I screw these things in. And I TIG welded that. And oh my God, I suck at TIG welding. I may very well do a TIG welding video just for practice, you guys, but we'll see, maybe not, I don't know. So the hold down rods are made, the hold down is made, the battery tray itself is fabricated, and so now I got to go open up these countersinks a little bit more, drill them through for a 1/4 inch, and then we're good. And then I will mount it in the chassis, and you will see. I'll put the battery in, and you will see. Okay, there we go. After all that cursing and wondering where the heck I put the pad. Right here we have a piece of rubber padding. This is actually stuff that you buy to put in tool chest drawers. But I thought that it would be nice to add one here. There we go. There's that. Okay, let's grab the battery. Come here, you. All right. Oh, batteries aren't light. That's there. Good, it's in. Got to be careful. It does hit this tube if you don't put it in right. And I was kind of hoping I'd be able to get it out this way, because it might be a little hard to get out from there when the engine's in there. The battery hold down, which I would be putting in from this side, wouldn't I? There's that. And it's requisite 1/4 nuts. There we go. We're just pretending that there's a body skid on the side here. There we go. There we go. The battery is in. The hold down is on. I pronounced the battery mounting done. Yeah, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? It sure does. Cool. Brilliant. Alrighty then. So we got the drive shaft tunnel enclosed on 2 sides. We got the brake system all back together and working. And we got the battery tray complete. And that's where I'm at right now. So, as I am so fond of saying, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and see you around the channel. Where's my scraper?
One.
I don't know.
One,
Somewhere.
2, 3, 4. Well, my daddy, he raced stock cars a long, long time ago at New England's fastest 1/4 mile, good old Westboro Road. He and Mom would rally around in their MGTD, but they bought a Porsche 356 the year my mom had me. I was raised by gearheads, this apple fell not far from under Daddy's tutelage, messing around with cars.
So anyway, as oh, I say way too much. Anyway, as I am so fond of saying, I hope you enjoyed the video. Oh no,